Hi everyone, my name is Zach Schlein and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Filteroff, a video speed dating app that's been featured in the New York Times as well as the BBC. Face-to-face interaction is our core tenet. Filteroff hosts virtual speed dating events. Singles can then register for those events and then date other singles in attendance. Filteroff, it's grown tremendously over the pandemic. I'm really excited today to share with you all the future of video first dating. I created Filteroff because I was sick and tired of going on bad in-person first dates. So before meeting up with my date in person, I asked if they would be open to video chatting instead. Previously, I tried to build a connection over text, but quickly realized I didn't have much of a text game. When you're texting, it's very easy to fill in the gaps and make assumptions about that person even though you've never even met them. Things get lost in translation. I then started asking women if they'd be open to video chatting instead. I felt video chatting was a low pressure way to see if we vibed. And it worked. Video chatting was so much better than texting before meeting up in person. I wasn't wasting time commuting to meet someone or splurging on overpriced drinks, only to really quickly discover that we weren't interested in one another. I quickly realized it wasn't just me longing for deep connection on dating apps. This was something that many singles wanted. They just weren't satisfied with the connections that they were making. One Reddit user put it this way: I haven't gone on one date in the last 5 months. I initially went on one to distract myself from my breakup, but I find the convos going nowhere. No dates, just guys wanting to smash. It's getting really depressing. Is anyone else feeling this way? It's hard for daters to build authentic connection because most apps don't have a streamlined way to build trust. You know how it works. It's endless swiping, it's fake profiles, it's bad first dates. It's really become this mind-numbing game of swiping, you match, you message, but the dopamine hit is real. It's super addicting. You're collecting numbers, Instagram handles, but you're not making a real human connection. We've grown tired of online dating. We want to build trust. I call these singles the intentional daters. They care about quality over quantity. They want connection, a feeling of belonging. The intentional dater, they don't want to be messaging a profile. They just want to get to know this real person. And for me, I discovered video chatting with my matches first really allowed me to get to know the person at a much deeper level. In March 2020, the global pandemic hit the United States, and isolation drove a longing for human connection. We're on Zoom meetings all day. We're mindlessly scrolling TikTok and watching Instagram videos. We're dying to know how other people are surviving this pandemic. We have more information than ever about what our friends, our family, and even celebrities are thinking, what they're cooking, their new dance moves, or silly pet videos. Yet, we don't have access to human connection. We're feeling more isolated than ever. I've had friends move away. I haven't seen certain loved ones. I've missed out on all my traditional holidays. We're all looking for connection more than ever. One study reported by PubMed discusses the isolation of animals and how it leads to depression and even anxiety disorder. During the pandemic, we quickly realized how video dating was the solution to many of these problems. Singles turned to Filteroff to go on these video speed dates and connect with other singles. For one, rather than swiping for hours, our users are making real face-to-face connections in their virtual speed dates. Secondly, Filteroff is building community. We do that by hosting virtual speed dating events for communities. A community can be a Facebook group of self-proclaimed nerds, to a religious organization, to a nonprofit. These communities are using Filteroff to facilitate face-to-face connection. And not only are individuals making connections, but it's making the group more tight-knit. When you meet other singles from your community, the trust is already established. It's kind of like going to a bar. If you get introduced to your buddy's friend at the bar, you already have that feeling of trust and connection versus meeting someone cold. We know that trust is being built on Filteroff because for the virtual speed dating events, the match rate exceeds 25%. In comparison to industry averages, singles on other swipe apps, women get about a 10% rate and men only a 1% match rate. The intentional dater will hop on Filteroff, and within 45 minutes, they may have spoken to 7 singles face to face. They no longer have to take that leap of faith and go on a blind date when meeting someone for drinks or dinner. And after the speed dates, they then agree to hop on a longer video chat. It's like the first date before the first date. They'll only then meet in person when they've established a real connection on video. More and more singles are seeking out meaningful connection. We at Filteroff have facilitated over 250,000 virtual speed dates since the pandemic. Since the pandemic, we've facilitated 4 engagements and created 2 marriages. But aside from that, there have been unintended positives of video first dating. One of our users is an avid online dater. Rob, he's good looking, he's intelligent, but he was having no luck with online dating. Why? Well, he's in a wheelchair. When using other dating apps, women would swipe left. Women would see him for his wheelchair. But when he came to Filteroff, he chatted with women on video first dates, and they got to see Rob for Rob. Once you take the swipe out of it, Rob was able to make romantic connections. Since the pandemic, many dating apps have adopted video functionality. But did that alone build trust? The answer is no. Like in Rob's case, people missed out on making a genuine connection with him because they based it off of his profile. They quickly swiped left. Rob's not alone. Some people can't take a good photo or make a good profile. There's literally an entire industry to hire someone to design your profile. It's a skill to building a profile, but it does not equate to the skills you need to build a relationship. And what if my future wife has a really shitty profile? I would totally miss out. Dating apps that simply add video functionality are still stuck in the old paradigm. You're still being judged by your profile. You're left with that same experience as beforehand. Sure, there's video, but that's more so an afterthought to the core product. Think about it. Using a swipe app is like an inefficient marketing funnel. You first have to swipe, which can take a ton of time until you get a match, especially for men. Then, when you actually do have a match, oftentimes you're not even interested in him or her. But if you are and you message them, oftentimes they never even message you back. Sometimes though, it is your lucky day and your conversation starts strong, but then it fizzles out. Perhaps you exchange phone numbers or Instagram handles. Sometimes though, they're just Instagram or phone number hoarders. But if you are one of the lucky ones, you end up meeting. I think you're seeing there's a lot of drop off in this process. The process is way too long. Filteroff is cutting out 90% of it and just having face-to-face interactions from the start. One user emailed me the other day. He joined one of our religious communities who participates and runs virtual speed dating events on Filteroff and said, "The video chat before swiping premise was everything I wanted in an online dating experience. I used to spend hours on OkCupid and Coffee Meets Bagel, earnestly trying to get a feel for their presence, only to realize it wasn't a match. The effort to evaluate compatibility was demoralizing." In contrast, on Filteroff, I went on 7 video speed dates in about 40 minutes, and my experience was amazing. What I experienced in minutes would take me hours on any other app. Of those 7 prospects, 2 became matches, and a few weeks later, 1 became my girlfriend. And we're very happy together. And don't get me wrong, the swipe was revolutionary in the online dating industry. Prior to apps like Tinder, you wouldn't have ever shared you met your significant other on a dating app. It was just weird. But apps like Tinder, it normalized the industry. You could literally hop on your iPhone, start swiping, in a few hours, have some matches from your college campus. But after 8 years of this, we're still not seeing substantial human connection. A recent survey by Time Well Spent surveyed 200,000 iPhone users. It showed that 77% of Grindr users felt regret after using the app. There's guilt because singles don't want to feel used or use someone. When you get to know someone at a deeper level, it satisfies a feeling of love and belonging. And this is what today's intentional dater is looking for. So what's next for online dating? Where do we go from the swipe? The online dating industry must strive to create trust, and we at Filteroff created a new paradigm by prioritizing video-first dating. The swipe created a user experience that lacked genuine connection. Video-first dating leverages a user experience that facilitates authentic connection. No swiping, no catfishing. But that's not to say the swipe's going to die. I mean, it's easy, it's fun, it's addicting. It doesn't require the commitment of hopping onto video dates, which obviously takes some effort. But it's time for us leaders in the online dating industry to create platforms that build trust. I can't avoid discussing the negatives of video dating, especially video-first dating. 1, it requires a strong internet connection. If you lack a strong connection, the experience will be poor. Until very recently, telecommunications infrastructure just wasn't there. I mean, both tech and cellular networks weren't good enough yet to have that consistent high bandwidth connection. 2, people are still nervous to use video first dating, even though the stigma has dramatically lowered since the pandemic. 3, it takes you to be vulnerable to go on a video first date with a complete stranger. But those first date jitters that you get is what leads to a real connection. The pandemic forced people to take a leap of faith with video first dating. We've all been on Zoom meetings, video chatting with our friends and family. So now hopping on a video chat with a complete stranger just really isn't that big of a deal. It's so much more authentic to connect on video first than texting alone. Post-COVID, will video dating still be a thing? In short, yes. According to the Wall Street Journal, they ask, will you still be video dating once the pandemic abates? And 69% of the respondents said yes. Once video first dating becomes a norm, what's next? I'm going to take you into the future where video first dating prevails. The integration of virtual reality. Imagine it's 5 years from now, and you're at a coffee shop. You open the door and the aroma of freshly ground beans overtakes your senses. You smell the warm, sugary pastries that just came out of the oven, and there she is, and she looks even more beautiful than what she looked like in her profile. You go in to give her a hug, and the aroma of her perfume overtakes your senses. Your senses no longer distinguish between the real world and this one. This is dating in virtual reality. There's now a blurry line between dating in the real world and dating on video. The audio will be spatial, the video will be immersive, and video dating as we know it will change forever. The pandemic served as a reminder that the intentional dater is here to stay. If you build platforms that lack trust, your customers will churn quickly. Yes, you may be thriving right now, but the intentional dater is a larger subset of your audience than you may think, and you will begin to lose them over time. If you build dating apps that provide trust, your lifetime value of your customers will be higher, and they will rave about their experience. I invite you all to build technology that builds trust and facilitates deep connections. Thank you.